The American author, political activist and lecturer Helen Keller once said, "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." In this short video you're about to meet 14 people who, drawing upon their passion, philanthropy and determination, are doing a very great deal to enrich the lives of others. The Tobin Brothers Foundation was established in 1984 to mark 50 years of funeral service to the people of Victoria. And this year, the Caroline Chisholm Society is celebrating its half-century.
The Caroline Chisholm Society is best known for the new and pre-loved baby and maternity goods that we give out in appointments. And we do that with new and expectant mothers and families from the time they learn of their pregnancy until their youngest child is school age. When we're giving those out, we check in with the families to see how they're travelling, and we learn a lot more about what's going on in their life. We certainly learn about things such as family violence, homelessness, and mental health issues and social isolation. So those first 1,000 days of a child's life are pretty important in terms of supporting a family to raise their kids well.
I'm the principal of the Cheshire School, and we're one of the many programmes under the umbrella of Best Chance, which is a charity. So they offer a lot of services like training, volunteering, there is kindergartens, early childhood intervention, but we are a school and we offer an 18-month intervention programme for children that have either been excluded from mainstream school, who've never actually attended because they're so young and they've had problems or are struggling. And our aim is to get them back into mainstream school, essentially to put them back on the right track.
I had a pretty terrible time in my teen years where, due to some fairly severe abuse and neglect, I was forced to leave home and with nothing on my back. For me, I think for a long time I felt a lot of pity about my story, and I spent years suicidal and in a terrible mental state because of post-traumatic things. And you expect to have that kind of life-changing moment, as you say, at the top of a mountain, in a perfect sunset or something. But in actual fact, I was in the shower, ironically, and I'd had my first son, William, and my husband and I had been away for a weekend, and I, of course, had pinched my shampoo and, very underground as it was back then, and was using it in the shower, and I just had this overwhelming, and I do describe it as a light bulb moment because I really felt like that's when I realised everything I'd been through was for a reason. And I started wondering how many people could actually use these little bottles of shampoo, people that were in transitional situations like I was, where I didn't know where I was going to be night to night and didn't have the capacity to carry a bathroom cupboard on my back. So, so I kind of ran out of the shower, screaming like a crazy person, about this idea that I had. And, the first thing everyone says is, you can't call it pincher poo. And that's when I was like, no, that's what we're going to do. Last year we got to nearly 300,000 people with our work. So this year we'll tick over 2 million products redistributed and 100 different partners right the way around Australia, and that number just continues to grow by the day.
Brunswick Industries has been going for 50 years. It's a long time, and the vision itself is all to do with providing meaningful employment to people living with a disability and bringing value to their lives. And that's the way that we've been pursuing our organisation for the last, say, 50 years. At the moment, we've got 102 supported employees, as we call them, which are the people that matter, which are the people with disabilities. And they come to work, and it provides them with meaning, with connection to society, and gives them the ability to feel worth, which we all do. We're a professional organisation providing business solutions to customers within the marketplace. So just the same as any other manufacturing organisation.
We aim to provide an angel gown pack to these families at the worst possible time, just to alleviate that little bit of suffering and grief and take the pressure off something that's not easily available for them. A tiny angel baby is not really something that you could just go down to the shop and buy something appropriate. They're quite tiny. We can provide an angel gown pack free of charge to any family, whoever needs it, whenever they need it, and that's what we aspire to do. We provide our packs to hospitals and funeral homes directly, Australia-wide, and then we also provide directly to families. If they're in need, they can contact us through our public website, and we would freight directly to families in need.
The vision of Bright Eyes is to bring a voice and a space for children that have been hurt, that haven't had anyone to help them. And some of the things that we are looking to do is projects for children that need to be rescued. We raise funds for these girls that have been exploited. We have also been a part of the literacy program, and that is where we have girls that come to the home that don't have family, that have been deserted, that have been exploited, and they come with no education. They're afraid, they're scared. And one of the things that we've just had recently is they're afraid, they don't want to learn because they're in so much pain and they're so angry. But once they've had time spent with them, they've been nurtured, they've been counselled, then they see that part of this literacy program is going to set them free. It's going to give them freedom to be able to be more, to be move forward, not to be locked in that circumstances.
We're very fortunate to have amazing support from volunteers in the communities. We're a volunteer-powered organisation and we take in donations of nursery equipment and children's clothing. We fix them up, we clean them, we safety check them and we package them with love, and then we distribute them to families in crisis through social workers and maternal and child health nurses. We're 10 years old and we helped just under 500 babies and children in 2009. And this year we helped 18,500. So we're getting a lot of support from the community and from amazing foundations like yours.
The number one goal of the Cerebral Palsy Education Centre is to assist families and children living with cerebral palsy to live life on their own terms. And this means giving them the knowledge and the skills that they need to go out and live life. Cerebral palsy is considered damage to a very young or infantile brain that can occur before birth, during development, during the birth process, or in the first 2 years. Technology is very important. What it's really opened up for us is methods of communication, the ability to enable children with complex disabilities and who don't have speech and who can't use their hands to sign to then learn to communicate. It's a touchscreen computer, and instead of using your finger to touch, this little box down here watches where your eyes point, and you use your eyes to touch the screen. You're then forced to use your eyes in a completely different way, and we find that the children need to learn how to use their eyes to access the device, and that's the really specific learning that we're focusing in on now.
The Old Colonists Association was established back in 1869, so we're actually turning 150 this year, that's 150 years of caring for elderly Victorians in need, and now operating 4 retirement villages and an aged care facility across 4 sites in Victoria. It is a unique model. It is a uniquely funded model as well. It's very much a philanthropic, community-based type model. Our funding is around philanthropy from organisations such as Tobin Brothers supporting what we do. We also have, and there is a means-tested ingoing fee for those who can afford to pay it, and for those who can't, they don't pay an ingoing. And that's really the essence of what we do, is about the social and physical well-being of our people and making sure that they are engaged and valued in the community.
My son Max died nearly 10 years ago, and the Compassion of Friends is specifically for people who have suffered the death of a son or daughter or brother or sister or a grandchild. Compassion of Friends offers people peer support, and for us that means sharing with people who've had a similar experience. And for us, that means sharing our deepest fears, our wild grief emotions with people who understand that and who are non-judgmental about that. And that we find is transformative. We see people coming in here with shattered, white-faced terror and changing to calmness and peace and a sense of hope. We see grief as being the normal reaction to a loss, and that the degree of grief reaction is proportionate to the amount of love that's been put in to what was lost. And of course, our children are very dear to us, and so the loss is often very severely felt.
So it was our 40th year in 2018, and our goal has always been to support those with Down syndrome and their families and the wider community, anyone who is supporting someone with Down syndrome, be it education, health, government, so across all those areas. And in 40 years, there's been huge advancements in children with Down syndrome being able to attend a mainstream school. It's really important for families when they are looking to send their child to the local mainstream school that they feel supported in their choice of the school, that they have all the information that they need to be able to support their child and the school if the school needs further information around their child, so that the education system can actually deliver a good outcome for their child.
Our foundation, we're involved, fingers in lots of pies, but we've had our most success with employment and employment mentoring. And we thought, well, what is the best way that we can get people who can't get access to training, to jobs, to the job market? How can we help them? And it was, let's start our own retail shop and let's base our foundation in a shop and office, and they will run the whole box and dice, everything, payroll, stock control, pricing, display, HR, banking, everything, accounts. Nothing's off limits. They get exposed to everything. They do the bank recs. They look at all the bank statements. And fortunately, thanks to Tobin Brothers, our bank statements is much better because your grant is like $1 million to us. It makes such a difference. When my grandfather came back from Gallipoli, he was involved with the RSL. In fact, he was the state and then the RSL president, federal president. And his focus was on employment. And when I was a young boy, I didn't understand what was the big deal about employment? Why from these returning veterans did my grandpa and grandma focus on employment? Now I know why. It's a gateway to self-sufficiency, to emotional independence, and to sustainability in your life. It's life-changing.
So Little Dreamers is a non-profit organisation that works with young carers in our community, so the brothers and sisters of sick kids and kids who care for unwell parents. We work with about 4,000 kids per year across the whole of Australia, across a range of direct support programs. So we have 6 different programs that work with them to improve the quality of life that young carers are facing, and to hopefully break down stigma and open communication about different things, all through different forms of peer support across the country. There are 1 in 10 people in Australia, young people, grow up as carers in their family. It's a huge number, and it's a number that we don't often think about and we don't talk about because people are afraid or embarrassed, or it's just something that doesn't really come up in conversation. But through a lot of our programs, that's what we aim to do, is to break down that stigma and open communication about those challenges that young carers are facing. So we run a range of direct support programs. So our Dream Experience program has been going since we launched about 10 years ago, which is a bit like Make-A-Wish or Starlight, where we give young carers the opportunity to do something that they've always wanted to do themselves. We run mentoring and tutoring programs, leadership programs for 14 to 18-year-old young carers to help them in their education and employment and opportunities there. We run an online peer support program called the Dreamers Hub. We also run an in-school education program and holiday program. So we cater for young carers from as young as 4 all the way up to 25. And all of our programs have been co-developed and designed by young carers for young carers.
So Kinfolk's program is based around social inclusion. So we have a whole range of people that come in to volunteer at Kinfolk through that guise. It can be anything from someone long-term unemployed to someone transitioning from prison, someone with mental health challenges, people with learning or physical disabilities. But it could also be someone who's just a uni student wanting to give back, or someone new to the country who English is a second language. And we provide opportunities within the program to help them build up their confidence and capacity and gain training specific to hospitality, but also a lot of soft skills that are going to help with any sort of employment opportunity that they might look for. At Kinfolk, when people pay, they can put a coffee bean in one of the jars at the till. That's how we distribute our surplus each year amongst our charity partners. And it also gives our customers the opportunity to vote with their dollar. So when they purchase something at Kinfolk, they can have a bit of a say in where the profits from that are dispersed.
It will just make such a difference to what we can provide and the level of quality that we can provide those things to them.
Well, we will be using the money to offer scholarships to students, because as I said earlier, that there is a huge need for our services, and we do have a very diverse demographic. Not everybody can afford our fees, and so we do offer a lot of scholarships. We really want to make sure that every child has the opportunity to come to somewhere like the Cheshire School to get them back on track.
Those monies will increase for more books, more trainers, social workers, so we can help mentor these children before they get into that pilot program, so they're much more open to learning, because then they can realise once we deal with that pain and that trauma, then they're ready to learn.
And that will be used for our supported employees to have technological benefits such as new computers, television sets, to be able to connect to via the internet to the wider world, and also something as simple as watching the news. So it gives them the ability to talk about current affairs in their daily lives outside the organisation. So it's some people might say it's a normal standard activity, but for us and for our people, it's actually vital. So that equipment will be well used.
The grant will help us to literally buy goods for families. The things that they need are prams, car seats, a safe place for their child to sleep.
The grant will be very helpful to us. It's really going to help us extend the educational opportunities for the children that we support.
Well, this grant from Tobin Brothers is going to be very useful to us. It's going to enable the production of a booklet, and this booklet will be the stories of our members. And so therefore it will be explaining their lived experience. And this book will show them that there are other people who have trod the journey, and it will show them that their wild grief madness is normal.
What we would be doing is running workshops for families who have a child who would be starting at school either in the following year, and we give them all the information that they need so that they're aware of exactly what the school should be doing for their child. They're aware of all the different processes around supporting their child at school.
The money that we use is going to be involved in email, setting up email, phone, all the requirements for resumes, the stationery, etc., that our group needs to finish off and get jobs. So it's all allocated towards that, all to be used by the participants in the program. And as you said, we have 50 at any one time, 10 per day, including rotating shifts. And in the last 6 years, our anniversary is in February, we've managed to get 498 people jobs so far. It was 497, but last night I got an email from someone raving, they're really happy, they got a job.
The money that we receive from Tobin Brothers is going to be fantastic for helping us to build out our volunteer program. It's going to directly fund 7 training opportunities with industry professionals. So we should be able to get about 5 or 6 volunteers to each of those training programs, and we get actual industry professionals in to teach them.
Well, the money will be used to buy what they call a camel lifting chair. It's a bariatric weight, so it takes up to just over the 300 kilo mark as well, which you need because we are getting bigger people into care. But it has a big role to play in safety, both for the resident and dignity for the resident, but also very much on the safety side for staff, which is just as important.
And this new piece of equipment will enable OCAV to to provide a safer and better living environment for our older Victorians in need.
This Tobin Brothers money that has been granted to us is going towards our schools program and continuing to fund this essential one-of-a-kind program that exists in Australia that we've currently got about 300 schools on, but with this money we're able to take on many more schools who need our help.
What we're going to use your funding for is to provide families with a safe cot and mattress for their baby. It really is one of the most critical items for a baby to have. We believe every child deserves to have a safe place to sleep.
Thank you so much to the Tobin Brothers Foundation for providing us with this grant. We're very excited. It's going to developing and launching welcome packs for all of our families. So with such a small team but so many kids that we support, sometimes we have a bit of a long wait period. Now with the help of the Tobin Brothers Foundation, we can provide welcome packs pretty much as soon as they apply. They can get support straight away with offers from the community. They get a couple of the books that we write, they get special gifts and acknowledgement that they are getting support and that they are special in our community as young carers.